Christian was an unexpected pregnancy. We had tried having another child after Patricia for several years, and then we just kind of gave up. And then we get pregnant with Christian. So we weren't ready for him, and I'm already in my 30s, and it's kind of scared because financially we weren't able to be able to do that, and I didn't know. We were actually scared because we were both older now and things like that. And so I found out I was pregnant, and we were going to keep Christian, of course, and went to the doctor, and then I ended up having to be insulin dependent for diabetes while I was pregnant with him. So I went to a specialty doctor also, and me and Christian's dad were fighting. It's going to be a boy, it's going to be a girl. And I said, okay, if it's a boy, I get to name him. If it's a girl, you get to name her. So we went to it was about 19 weeks into my pregnancy, and we went in at the ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech, she said, it's a boy. And I look at him and I smile, and I'm in tears because it's my little boy. And then she kind of gets nervous, and she says, I'll be right back, I have to go get the doctor. So Shannon and I, that's Christian's dad, we look at each other and we're like, what's going on? So she leaves, and she comes back maybe 5 minutes later saying the doctor will be right in. She turns everything off, the machines and everything. So I'm like, was everything okay? She says, you'll talk with the doctor when he comes in. So the doctor followed in, a couple of seconds after her, and he did the ultrasound again, and they started talking numbers and things that I didn't quite understand. And he started asking her about the femur bone. Was she able to measure it? So then I'm thinking the femur bone is, the thigh bone or whatever. And I'm like, well, maybe he's just tiny, and don't need your hands. So then he turns the equipment off, and he tells us that Christian had some abnormalities in the body and the bone structure, the skeleton structure, and that he didn't have any femur bones. And I was like, what exactly are the femur bones? I was in shock. So then he started explaining to me, breaking it down, and I was like in shock pretty much. I just started crying, and I was freaking out, like, what does that mean? And then he started talking about he would have maybe one club foot also. And so then I'm freaking out more because I never heard of any of this. And I immediately told him, is it my fault? What did I do? Things like that. What did I do to cause this to my baby? And he's like, well, we'll get you to go see a genetic doctor. We can do an amnio, different things to figure out what's wrong. I don't know if he was leaning more towards that trisomy 18 because he just kept bringing that word up. So I agreed to have the amnio. He knew how upset I was, so he said, come back in 30 minutes, go calm down, and then we'll take care of everything there. So then he's booked me into his lunchtime. That's what he told me. And we did the amnio. Before I did the amnio, I went and I talked to a genetics counselor. He had me go right away to speak to the genetic counselor before I did that. And we went and we talked to her, and she pretty much laid out the options, where the options were all to terminate the pregnancy. There was different options to terminate the pregnancy, and she was explanatory, all this and this, and she even said that there was a doctor she can call in Houston, and I felt as if she was already signing me up. She was already, they already had their mindset up. Why was I even sitting there? And I don't know if it's because she saw me upset or because there was something she wasn't telling us, And I just remember looking at Shannon, Christian's dad, and he was like just staring at me, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I said, all I want to do is the amnio to see if, it is the trisomy 18, because usually babies who are born with that don't live, a couple hours to maybe a week after birth. And she's already, setting me up for an abortion pretty much. And she used the word, I could terminate the pregnancy, which means abortion either way, right? And I was in shock, And I was like, well, no, I need to talk to my doctor, my OB doctor, so no, let's just do the amnio and we'll leave it at that. And so the doctor did the amnio, and he says, well, you have several options. Again, you have several options, and think of the quality of life and all this stuff. And I was just like, that they were just, I felt like she was like, I'll pull some strings, I'll call Houston or Dallas, and I was like, no, let me talk to my doctor. And I actually, for a minute, once we went home, before we even got the results, I did think maybe it's something I need to do, because I don't know what deformity he's going to have. I don't know if I can handle it. What will my friends think? What will my family think? Are people going to think that I'm some drug addict and that's why it happened, or something? And, we just thought about it, and I took a couple of days off of work, and my OB doctor told me to, relax. He was going to talk to the doctor for me. Those 3 days were horrible. Of course, after the amnio, you're not supposed to get up and, things like that. So pretty much laid down and cried for those 3 days, until finally I remembered I got a pamphlet from Dr. Hagen's office that had the Pregnancy Resource Center's number. And I saw that it said counseling and all kinds of different things. I said, well, let me just call. I called the pregnancy center, and it was a Friday, and nobody answered. It started this, thank you for calling, and then I hung up. I said, okay, well, I didn't know that they were closed on Fridays. And I said, well, let me try calling back again. And I called back, and Celeste answered the phone. And I was like, hi. And I couldn't even finish my story to her. I just started bawling. And she says, you know what? I think there was a reason I was supposed to pick up the phone, because we're closed today. And I was like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. She said, I want you to come in on Monday and meet with me and talk with me, and you can let me know what's going on. I talked to her about it, and she prayed with me, and it was a Friday, and I felt so good out during the whole weekend. I couldn't wait to go meet them on Monday. And then meeting them, they were just all too sweet. I mean, I was like, seriously, you're all too sweet, And they even gave me a little baby clothes for him, and that just so inspired me that like he's gonna get to wear it. It's so cute, and it was just awesome to have met them. I mean, if they weren't there, to tell you the truth, I think I would have had the abortion, because I was lost. I didn't know what to think. I had my friends and everybody to talk to, but then when it came down to, he was gonna be disabled, I was worried about what other people think, and that's not the way I should have been thinking. It is difficult raising Christian, because he is born without the femurs in his leg, and sometimes I think, what could I have done different? But there's nothing I could have done different. He's perfect. I mean, he's happy, he's a good eater, and he has changed my life. He's slowed my life down in so many ways that it needed to be slowed down. He's touched so many people by just meeting him. When I tell his story, I mean, I look at him and I'm thinking, what the heck was I thinking? What? I wish I could just go show him to that lady, the genetic counselor, and say, look, this is what you didn't want me to have. This is what you were just so sure that was going to be so horrible for my life. And I thought about what would people say. Chrissy has a son that's disabled. Like I said earlier, they're gonna think, she's on drugs, or what did she do during her pregnancy to cause that? It's her fault, and how could she do that to him? And I decided to keep him, because look at him. I mean, he's my little boy. Right, guy. And I mean, like I said, every day I look at him and I just thank God that I had talked to Celeste, and that my OB doctor was encouraging also, and that I didn't just listen to the first thing that came out of something's wrong. Okay, go ahead and you can have an abortion, or you can terminate your pregnancy, is what they say.